Hello and welcome to the 2020 Victoria Tea Festival Revival. I'm going to be one of your hosts today. My name is Jared Nyberg. I'm one of the directors of the Tea Festival. With me today will be Ryan Moen, who's a co-director of the festival. And the first guest that we'll have this afternoon, because it's 12 p.m. here in Victoria, is going to be Trevor Burnett. I'm really excited to have him on because he's a co-founder of the Tea Festival. So yeah, really excited to make this happen. It's going to be an amazing show. It's going to be 24 hours, if you can believe it. We're going to be having tea people from all over the world. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have farmers. We're going to have seminars. We're going to have discussions. It's just going to be ridiculous awesome. And I'm going to be co-hosting with Ryan Moen for this entire 24 hours. That is also going to be ridiculous. So welcome to Ryan Moen and Trevor. You guys are on. How's it going, guys? Oh, can we hear you okay?
Yeah, it's going very well here.
Awesome. Yeah, we have Trevor over in Israel right now.
My mic will pick up and I'll shout out there. It's like I'm just a few blocks up in sunny Victoria, BC, so still on Pacific Standard Time with you. It's still a decent hour at noon.
Which is pretty fun. What time is it over there in Israel, Trevor?
It's 10 p.m., but it's my birthday tomorrow, so I don't mind staying up for a few more hours.
Oh, really? Awesome. Okay. Well, I hope you stay with us into your 12 a.m. You can be celebrating with some tea while you're enjoying your birthday time. So yeah, I was just I thought it would be cool, guys, and I think we were talking about this before we started, is just to talk a little bit about the origins of the festival, throw a little bit out there of how it came about, and give people some perspective as to what we're trying to accomplish here. Did you guys? I mean, essentially, this is a revival, right? So we purposefully put that into our name because we are bringing back something that existed beforehand, although it's kind of connected, kind of not connected. But this is year 5, and we've just run with revival. It's pretty fun, but it's been a slice. Hey, we've been doing a lot of education. We've been doing a lot of we've had tea merchants come in from Vancouver. We've enjoyed some really nice teas. It's been a really big community builder for us all. But maybe we can all just maybe talk about what connected us to this space, and we can put a shout out to all the help that's come along the way. Ryan, maybe we could start with you, man. Like, what's why are you here, man? What is?
Yeah, that's the funny thing is, like, it was 5 years ago, knocked on your door. I am still the novice. I might not be the complete beginner of this kind of tea learning experience, but yeah, I come in with the curiosity. I was wondering about, how deep can we go with tea? 5 years later, still learning so much about tea. I don't think that we'll ever get to the bottom of what tea means for everybody individually, regionally, or just at what time of day or time of year that people drink tea. So that's the part that I really get stoked on, is the whole community aspect.
Yeah.
And I've always been excited about trying to just create the background so that people can come forward and teach. I'm definitely the student. I'm not the teacher in this case. That's why I came on board. I was like, let's learn something new.
Well, you know, I love there's different cultures around the world with different perspectives on tea, obviously, but there's also different perspectives on learning. And one of the northern British Columbia First Nations, and we should put a shout out that this is happening, even though it's virtually. The core of this event is being broadcasted from Coast Salish territory, so huge respect to the beautiful communities that have been here since time immemorial. But I wanted to say that in many communities up north, there is no word for teach. There's only a word for learn, and I love that perspective. Like, none of us really are teachers, right? We're all on this learning journey together. So. Pretty fun for certain. And you another thing that you brought to the table, Ryan, was this idea of how this would be so useful to have a space for people in the wintertime in Victoria. You want to talk on that for a moment?
Yeah, the main thing was I definitely I thought about how a lot of cities tend to kind of shelter in and kind of cozy in for the winter, but it could be a bit isolating socially. Again, that's what I'm most like interested in, is everybody that's watching this kind of opportunity to connect with each other. But specifically on the West Coast, a lot of people might not know that we live in a rainforest, which means that despite what's glowing in the background here, that's a rarity during these winter months, especially January onwards. We can get weeks on end where we don't get sunlight, and that can play a pretty heavy role on the emotions. So I wanted to bring a festival that was warming, that everybody's had experience around, everybody's had a hot drink, and that you can't be wrong about. You're bringing your own experience, you're learning, you're listening. There actually isn't too much discourse that I see in it, but the main thing was just like, a space to hold during the long winter months. And again, this is Northern Hemisphere right now, and we're lucky to have a sunny day here on the Lekwungen territories of the Songhees Nisquamish, but the rain and the wet does seep in, and we definitely need these tools sometimes just to hold that space in those days.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, that's always been like, whenever I'm like designing or working with you on the way we move forward, that's always played a key role in my sort of mental back end, is like, how do I, Ryan values the community aspect of this so much, as do I, to be honest, but that's been really interesting to just like really keep that front and center, is how do we keep that strong. But maybe we could also ask Trevor a little bit about, Trevor, you were with us for the first year, and then you had to step back while you've been traveling the world, and you found yourself in Israel for this time in your life. You want to talk a little bit about what it is that makes you that made you start this with us in the first place?
So I came back from one of my road trips in 2016 to Victoria to see if I wanted to spend the next few years of my life there.
Mm-hmm.
And having done some work with you and just knowing you as a good friend, I remember calling you up and saying, "Hey, I'm in town.
Mm-hmm.
We should hang out."
Yeah.
And then I just remember the enthusiasm in your voice being, "Trev, you're in town. We're doing this thing. You have to come over right now. I have to tell you about it. You can probably help with that." And I show up, excited to the moon.
Yeah.
And just the whole mix of it, the education, because I had been doing those educational comics free with the T, so I understood the educational route. We're talking about community of something to do during the winter, so I get the community route, especially having traveled and been sharing space with people and sharing teas and infusions around the world with, from the wealthy to the non-wealthy. Just everyone sits around a cup of tea or an infusion, and that playing field is leveled.
Yeah.
And I just
there's an equality to it.
I love the opportunity to kind of everything that I learned in my own life with marketing my books and my comics. Said, here I can bring it to the next level. And you're like, great, we've got everything is set up. We just need that last final push. And it was this great 3 weeks of calling up people I used to know who worked in radio, going to the newspaper people, and just kind of getting everyone excited about it. And then, as opposed to a lot of comics or music shows that I've done, there were tons of people were showing up.
You were like, oh wow, and that was the first year. You should have seen year 3. It was like we had 500 plus. It was pretty dope. Did we lose you there? Oh no, we can hear you. Okay. Hello?
Looks like we got to switch out on that one.
Yeah, that's too bad.
The beauties of broadcasting on the internet is that, maybe the internet just got so excited about how fast the festival's grown from like a few hundred people bringing their own teacups to like, thanks to everybody online that's allowed us to bring this live.
Right.
Like that's the big thing. We're all volunteers, me, Jared, and like when we began with Trev was at the front door with his guitar, beckoning people in, making sure that people knew about us, because we were fresh on the scene, right? We were the revival of a tea festival that had kind of gone away, and we wanted to just see what we could bring it back.
Exactly. And I remember a very fun part in promoting it were all these people that we were meeting with saying, "Oh, I remember this festival. Yeah, there was a tea festival," and clarifying like, "No, this is the festival revival. This is based on the old thing with the new twist."
Right. Yeah. Totally. No, it's You know, and I think that when we talked to, I was actually, Jaga Silk was a part of the tea festival back before it was the revival, and we were a vendor, and the word on the street, or the kind of the official word for why that festival ended, was that they couldn't get, even though they had like people that wanted to be there, like there was like 3,000 people come in over the course of the weekend that they'd host this annual event. We were like, okay, we're super into it, but there was just like this gradual falling out where vendors didn't really want to be there. Tea people didn't want to be there, and it wasn't that they were like, oh, this is a terrible event. It's just that after a while, you get tired, right? So it's like, how do you create something that's gonna be inspiring and feel really important for the people that have been, you know, that have made tea part of their career. And I feel like if we get the word out there, the community support in Victoria is so amazing, and in Vancouver too, and we even have people from Seattle and stuff. Like, it's pretty rad, like how that sort of response has been. But yeah, I just I guess that's been the challenge, is how do we make this how do we make this something that's really exciting for people? And I actually think this year is the year. Like, if I wasn't like anything to do with this tea festival, if I was just like, hey, I'm just a viewer, like I'm just a participant, or if I was a tea company, sorry, that's what I mean, and I wasn't like part of the organization, I'd be pretty excited, because this is, especially the symposium, I don't know, every year that's just got a piece of my heart, is that element, right, where there's this educational portion that's just so much fun, right, and we have such interesting and eccentric speakers that come on. It's just glorious. For certain. Yeah.
And if I want to bring that into the International Tea Appreciation Society that we founded as well.
Yeah.
Because for the last couple of weeks here in Israel, I was hoping to have my place open to be the first international locale of the society.
Yeah.
I've been telling people about this, and almost like with a smile on their face, they're like, "What? This tea festival? What, you mean you have professional farmers from around the world coming in and explaining what they do and how to brew tea properly?" And I go, "Yeah, that's exactly it." And then they go, "That sounds really cool, actually. Can I check that out?" So I think there is a whole community out there that is looking for the knowledge.
Nice.
And
yeah, it's true.
And,
yeah. And it's global, right? Like, you're hearing this in Israel too, right? Like, people are like, "Yeah, I'm psyched about the knowledge potential there," right? Like, especially, you don't have to be like a deep dive like tea sort of I don't know, it doesn't have to be your end all be all by any means. It's just, that's
where I think I come in. It's just like, yeah, it's a beautiful place for even a beginner, right?
Yeah.
Because as long as you don't burn the top of your mouth, you're doing it okay, right? It's a pretty low threshold, welcoming space.
Yes. And here they got the culture to kind of, throw 5 Lipton tea bags into a pot and boil it for 20 minutes and then drink it. So there's a whole lot of growth potential here.
100%. Yes. No, this is true. We have some viewers wondering, or who are watching from Fernwood, it looks like. Just thought I'd throw that in there. And enjoying some chocolate Earl Grey. Excellent times. And also wondering what I'm drinking. Some Yun Wu, by the way. Sorry, totally random aside. But you guys got some tea going while we're live?
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to copy you. I'm going to grab some of this Yun Wu and actually measure it up. Again, I've been guilty of some pretty, let's say, just home chemistry tea, where I just, as long as the water's steaming and I toss it in there, it does well. But today, being a good tea participant, Jared's lent me a proper kettle that's got the dial to 80 degrees, and I'm going to measure everything out. How much of that tea did you put in there, Jared, the Yun Wu?
I put it about 3 grams for 180 mils is ideal.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect. And what do you got there, Trevor?
So I did some scouting a few months ago to look for some local tea imports, because it's fun, here in Israel, green tea is the tea from your garden, like some geranium and some lemongrass and some mint, and they throw it together, and that's what they call colloquially green tea.
Right.
So I happened to find this box of pure Ceylon tea, Pico.
Okay.
And from that book that I had asked you about, Jared, about tea and tea history.
Yeah.
So as soon as I picked this up, so I went to the book, try to figure out, where is it from? Can I find the farm?
You.
And I'm drinking second. I brewed it yesterday, did a concentration.
Okay. Okay. And you're making the tea concentrate. That's good times. You're prepared. Cool.
Right.
Yeah. You did. Did you do the cold brew?
I do a lazy way. I do a primary brew with hot water,
Okay.
and I drink that in the morning, and then I just leave. I fill the kettle up with water for the rest of the day, about halfway. Let it steep for another 24 hours.
Okay. Okay.
It becomes the second. What I'm drinking now is a very mild version of it, but it's 10 p.m., so it's probably good.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay. No, that's awesome. The Russians often call this a samovar. And my father actually calls it samovar, just like saying that it's just the way to go, right? You just keep a really strong brew of tea going, and then you just dilute it with some hot water to taste, and you're gonna be in a good place for certain.
Mm-hmm. And I find there's a lot of these cinnamon notes that come out when I do it this way.
Nice. Yeah, we have a viewer sipping a sencha from Yui Shizuoka in Finland right now, and who was in Pu'er, China a year ago, and who's sharing, enjoying some tea while we're talking about the festival. So, no, it's good times. The ITAS. You want to talk a little bit about the logo there, Trevor? I'm actually really interested in your art. So you're an artist. I met you as an artist. You were writing comic books, but you're also a novelist. You're a musical artist. You're quite a lot going on creatively for yourself there. You want to talk a little bit about what this logo is on the top left? I mean, it's kind of fun, right? Like you did something pretty, like established when?
So we made like, it's probably the nerdiest joke in the whole thing. We made it established in 1734.
Yeah.
Because then what they call elite speak, which is computer talking, those numbers correspond to IEEA, which spells out IT, which I think is an appropriate year to establish our society in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Numerology, we gotta bring that in. Yeah.
And then when you told me that we're forming a society, and I thought you were joking. You told me that we're like, no, we want to actually do a society and get all the paperwork done. Yeah. I said, well, we obviously need a crest if that's the case, and with every crest, you also need a motto. Right. So the crest was a very simple, stylized ITAS.
Right.
With the Camellia sinensis leaves going around it, which was the first time you had mentioned those leaves to me, and the first time I heard about them.
Yeah.
Which since then I have absolutely nerded on anyone who calls anything else tea, and I go, actually, did you know that?
That's a botanical. That is a tisane. That is not tea. Yeah. Okay.
If I can take a quick aside, someone, remember that cacao drink I brought in, like with cacao case? So would that would count as an infusion as well, right? It wouldn't be a tea, but it would be a watered drink with flavor.
Yeah.
From which comes our amazing motto, Perfusi sumus in aguam, which is to be steeped in tea, if I recall.
Yeah. No, awesome. That's to be bathed in tea. I think you ended up having to use for the Latin because there was no word for steep. If I remember correctly. No, that's awesome.
That could be based on the dancing of the leaves that you told me about.
Yeah.
Or the Japanese translation, Chinese translation.
It works. No, it's pretty cool. And you had a whole backstory about going underground during the French Revolution and all that fun stuff. I don't know if it works for the year. I'm gonna betray my lack of historical prowess here. French Revolution year. Can we throw that out there? Is this actually?
No. That's a big no.
Okay. Anybody watching that knows this answer, let us know. Yeah, I'm curious if we're technically accurate with our backstory, or if we pulled a Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah, I think technically we're online now. We're on camera. We're granted a bit of fabrication when it comes to the artistic aspect of it. But I think
Sick license.
otherwise,
Yeah. Okay.
otherwise,
Yeah.
aside from the crest, people can be expecting pretty diligent temperatures, times, and the actual facts.
Other,
That's what happens when one artisan off the streets to design your logo. He doesn't stick to the
doesn't stick to.
paperwork.
You know, since you have made your way to the other side of the world, Trevor, we've actually this year we are like bona fide. We are a registered entity, like the Tea Festival, through the International Tea Appreciation Society. It's pretty. We're pretty stoked about that. That was a lot of work. A big thank you to Ryan there. My goodness gracious, that was awesome. Ryan actually also had to focus on some school and some different things in his life last year.
Calculus, yes.
Calculus. And so we got to put a shout out to Stephen Wood, who stepped up and really was a huge force in making that festival actualize. And we got Kaylee helping out. We got Micah helping out this year. We've had so much help over the years. May and Patty, and like I could go on with names. Yukari, yeah, you know, like
Morgan,
John.
She was a volunteer coordinator prior to the festival going online, where it kind of shrank down. We didn't need as many door people, but those people were all there. That's just that big community aspect of Victorious, that the festival is based around tea, but it brings the people, like our community, together. It's been amazing for that.
Yeah, for certain. Like there's just been some beautiful souls that have really pitched in. So it's been really inspiring. And you say you've been watching from afar, and that's awesome to hear that it's been inspiring from afar. It's been inspiring right here too, like for certain, like just so many powerful people. We had the donations from the 2018 festival actually go towards bringing in Takaki. So Kohei Takaki, he's going to be doing a talk on how soil structure affects the finished flavor of tea later on in these sessions that we have going on. And he actually was flown in through donations, which was something I just, since day one, I'd really wanted to get to that place. But honestly, like when he got here, of course, or before he got here, we were like, okay, where is he going to stay? Donations pay for a plane ticket. But actually, the people that house Clive's Classic Lounge, they've been a vendor at our space at this event, and they are in the Chateau Victoria, and those guys actually pitched in and did like a week of basically sponsoring Takaki to stay at their hotel for a week, which was amazing. So, you know, like just that kind of support too, like very, very tactile, very real support has been happening for certain, you know. So.
And you know, from the business perspective, they say, you know, like most businesses, 80% businesses fail within the first year, and the other 80% businesses fail within the next 5. So for it to be the 5th year of the festival, I mean, the first year was obviously success, and to make it up till this point, you know, hopefully all that hard work is behind us. And like you said, if you've got a community of helpers locally, that when it goes online, you actually have to turn down the help because you have enough.
Yeah.
What a growth! What a development!
Yeah. What an obstacle for year 5.
Yeah,
World
like,
pandemic.
Annika Finn from Finland. Oh, that's probably not her last name. It's probably Annika Finn from Finland. But like, we have people tuning in with us, trying to stay up, helping promote us, and you know, like that. Like, as much as this is warming my belly, like that warms my heart. That people are. Like, our viewers are there, people are coming, and you know, that was just like year 1 when we opened the door and we're like, who's gonna show?
Exactly.
So,
you know, welcome
to everybody who tunes in now and then tunes in when we pop this up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's gonna be good times. Yeah, we do have plans to throw these sessions up onto YouTube and have the seminars and the conversations that are gonna be happening chopped into chunks so that they're a little bit more digestible. But what a huge appreciation for those that are participating live and asking their questions as we go. So, are we? You know, what I'm also grateful for is definitely that continuation. You know, like for the pandemic, when that hit, like this year we were at March. We were like 2 days, weren't we? Like 2 days before we were supposed to go live with the festival, right?
I came in on the Thursday and it was like a Saturday
that the event was going to be. Yeah.
But I mean, the beautiful thing is that was called off, the physical one for us,
Yeah.
and then
And
you just kept dreaming, and you're like, no, we're going to go online. And I was like, well, how does
this
how do
work?
people that tape together cardboard signs and hand out like flyers go online? Like,
Yeah.
how does the World Wide Web work?
Yeah. So
but I think the beauty is that even when we go back physical, like, thanks to everybody who's watching online, we will be able to stream the seminars that are the symposium aspect of our festival to them as a reward, as a big thank you, that if you tune in this year, we can guarantee that we can tune in next year, because that's a promise and that's a support. We might not be able to get you around the tea tastings. We haven't quite virtually figured that out, but I'm sure like Bezos or Zuckerberg's working on that, one of those little synthesizers or something.
Well, just like
teleport
them.
You buy your ticket a month in advance, and then we ship you a container of 8 or 10 different teas to taste throughout the festival.
It's a possibility. I like Star Trek though. I want like materialization of the tea, so it can be chosen while we're the day of. It's just like, here's your little like your tea materializer, and it's gonna happen while we're live. It's gonna be amazing. I don't know, Trevor, your idea, that's a little bit too based in reality. This whole like send people tea in advance.
5 years, the artist has become the grounded one.
See how far we've come. Yeah, no, it's we actually rescheduled this festival to happen in August. We were going to combine it. We do an annual festival, Music and Tea in the Court, and actually there's going to be a couple segments where we're going to have some artists playing some songs in support of that part of the festival. It was going to actually combine. We were going to move it so, because Jagasilk is a part of the tea festival, but it's also like a huge part of the Music and Tea in the Court, and so it would have been really fascinating to combine those two festivals together. But we hit August, and it was like, 1,000 people or 500 people in one place at one time in August in a pandemic still didn't make any sense. I honestly thought, you guys, that like if we just like maybe 2-3 weeks where we just kind of hunkered down and we just kind of let the virus pass, we'd be okay. I guess I didn't know what I was talking about, because here we are. But again, grateful that we've been able to make this happen. And
that was the big turnaround, is when Jared said, like, I'm like, well, because I always looked at the small little ecosystem of the Victoria bubble of the International Tea Appreciation Society, and I looked at our volunteers, and I looked at like how nice it is to sit around with people now that we've kind of tidied up a lot of the details and we're actually a legal entity, things, little details like that. And I thought about like, I really love that aspect. I love meeting new people. I love getting big wins for everybody. And I was like, well, what does that even look like online? Like, how do we still get that? And it is realizing that, we can create this content. People can click on and click off. That viewership is sometimes the only thing that we have going on right now. And there's only so much Netflix you can watch.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. No, it's something that I think we're all just sort of getting accustomed to, right? In this pandemic, is just a lot of these areas where we had that human to human connection need to go virtual, we need to kind of reassess how we're gonna make this all work. And I think this is a good response. I think it's lovely to have the guests too, like Ryan, to have you be here, and Trevor to be here, and me. I'm honored to be here. It's just this opportunity to have this interaction, rather than it being a pre-recorded, which would be interesting too, right? Like just a bunch of pre-recorded tea seminars. But I'm really looking forward to the interactive element of this, that we can have the people watching ask their questions, which those of you who are watching, totally encourage you to do. Speak up. There should be a chat option.
Yeah, just right down in the chat window. I'll keep reading them, and then like when I see Annika giving us a shout out about checking out the Pu'er farm in China, I was like, we can put you out there as long as it doesn't roll through everything. Like, you will be heard. Pu'er, it's a tiny festival.
Yeah, Pu'er village in China. Yeah, it's actually, Pu'er, the village is actually named after the tea rather than the other way around, which is kind of interesting. Yeah.
And
Sorry?
I've still got I've still got this bad boy from our first year.
Oh, what do we got there? It's hard to see, man. I'll
Oh,
try.
sorry. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
Pooh that we got from.
From Eric. Yeah, Eric's gonna be on the show today. Eric,
Oh.
we can get Kira to come on, but Eric has started his own thing now. So that was through a company called Six Mountains, but he's got this thing going on called Cloudwalker. He's gonna be on at 10 p.m. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then he's going to be talking old teas, and he translated a tea book from Taiwanese into English, and he's going to go into a little bit of a conversation about that, which is pretty fun. And then he's actually going to, right after that, he's going to have Master Chen come on. He calls him the rock star of old tea. We're going to be doing a conversation on tea cakes and harvesting and producing from wild tea cultivars. So that's awesome. You have that selection from him. It's a good one. Have you cracked it open? Have you enjoyed it?
Again, I've been waiting. I got it at your festival. I put it back in my closet when I traveled the world for the next few years.
Uh-huh.
And then when I brought it here, it was a full brick, and I said, I'm gonna wait till my cafe is open. I'm gonna crack this open with my customers.
Nice. That's kind of awesome. And you're gonna have a different aging sort of environment for that. What's interesting about pu'er cakes is that for the most part, if they've been prepared well, you're not gonna find a disintegration or a decay. It's actually the opposite. The stored well, you're gonna have like a really nice development of flavor. So the longer you kind of hold on to it, it's like aging a wine, right? And remember though, when you do crack it open, take a little bit from the center and a little bit from the edge. Those are going to be different degrees of sort of yeast development and fermentation, etc. So you're gonna find that you're gonna enjoy it a lot better if you combine those two together.
Make them together, not like drink them separately, or both.
Well, we should talk to. I mean, we're gonna have actually so Unity Jen is going to be coming on next. We're going to be talking about tea and fermentation and sort of like the canvas that Jen can be. But after that, we're going to have the owner of the Chinese tea shop in Vancouver. It's actually called the Chinese Tea Shop, and he's got like $27,000 Yixing teapots and like cakes that are like over 100 years old and stuff. Like that guy is like a specialist. So I'll if you're tuning in on the chat, you should ask him some questions on your birthday, man. Just be like, hey, how do I drink this tea? Should I?
For sure.
Yeah.
Here, I'll have to get you guys to explain me the chat a little bit later.
Yeah.
In the development of tea, especially this year, I've been, the whole that every teapot is different, has a different reason, and that you should be using certain tea broths to brew tea exclusively.
Right.
And I live in an old country, so we have tons of these. What do they call like antique shops, but like little like a flea market kind. You just walk in, and everyone's got different stuff on their table. So I found this little metal one, and based on the research, this is for making mint tea, like Morocco style.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
And just reading different ceramics has different porousness, and if you're using, I love this idea of there's a certain teapot for a certain kind of tea. It's a black tea.
Yeah, I love that.
And the whole idea is like this teapot should only be used for this tea,
right?
And then that flavor becomes a part of the actual pot itself,
right? And
infuses every brew you make. And it's this amazing idea of like over the years the tea will get tastier and tastier,
which is so interesting.
Like I have a friend who's a brewer for alcohol here, and they call them the tails. So he brews whiskey and arak, which is kind of like ouzo and absinthe. And every time he brews it, he keeps the bottoms of it where all like the oils, the stuff that's too strong to drink.
Right.
And over the years, as his distillery develops, that actually becomes the basis taste of his brand.
Right.
Because that's how the taste sits between brews.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that that's a topic that personally I've been super interested in, is just like how these different teapots affect brews and this idea of them affecting flavor. What's important is to have, obviously everything is going to carry a little bit of the tea that you brewed in it before, but if you really want to enjoy that, like stay away from scented teas, for example. Like they're going to really interrupt the ability for your teapot to sort of carry forward interesting flavor dynamics. But another is looking for pots that are a little bit porous. So this isn't there's no glaze on the inside. And if they're not glass or metal or glazed on the inside, if they're porous clay, then there's a really big opportunity for the mineral content in that clay to interact with the water that's extracting tea flavor, and then sort of change the way that your palate is going to perceive flavor. It's quite fascinating. Yeah. So, and I love this idea of teapot dedication. Like, we can talk to people on the show that actually have walked through these, say, Pu'er caves, but it's going to be interesting to have that conversation. But they are going to have like a teapot dedicated to each cake, and that's the only one that they're going to use for that pu'er for its entire lifespan, which is super interesting. Hey, like, so we're actually wanting to give a big shout out also to some of our sorry to just kind of randomly segue into this, but to some donations that have already come in. So those watching, if you do choose to donate to the cause so that we can fly in tea farmers and experiment with some really interesting sort of global interactions, etc. We had Shana with Wild Tichy, Lorianne Top, Constance Chen, Claudia from Tican Tea, lots of lovely folks who have been doing a donation. Really wanted to say thank you to you. If you go to victeafestrevival.org, there is a donation button. I don't want to be like super like, hey, donate, but it is, honestly, it's super helpful. And every year, normally we do admission by donation. We say, watch, participate for free. That's totally fine. It's totally whatever you want to contribute. Where is it going? It's going to the society. We are a registered nonprofit, and the purpose of the society is to promote and pursue education in tea. So that's going to be where your funds will go. It could go to fly in a tea farmer for the tea festival. It could go towards sharing different beautiful teas with people around the world. There's different projects that we have in mind.
But also just paying for our Twitch and for our website
Yeah.
and for promotion.
The basics, yeah.
Honestly, it's like we spend that really fast.
Oh, we certainly do. Yeah, those.
And then we save up to fly people in when we have in-person festival.
I don't know why when I did the nonprofit, I thought I'd be like, oh yeah, these like big companies, there's a nonprofit option, right? We're not actually making money. You can do this for free, right? No. That's not.
Our credit card costs us money so that we can put up the advertisements.
I mean, it's the story of everybody's life, but it's an interesting quandary for a nonprofit, right? It's like, okay, I'd really love to be spending all these funds on these educational endeavors, but there is definitely a keep the ship going. But we have a pretty lightweight ship. We are so blessed to have so many amazing volunteers to keep this project moving forward. It wouldn't be possible without them, for sure. So we're coming up to 12:45 here, Trevor, which is when the session with you here, our opening show, ends. Did you have some words that you wanted to leave with those viewing? We have actually 20 plus viewers watching right now from around the world. Maybe you want to say a shout out to them, maybe wrap up some thoughts on this topic that we're discussing, the origins of the Tea Festival Revival, maybe where you want to see it go, that kind of thing.
For everyone watching, and I say this as part of this festival and just as an artist who's performed around the world, thank you so much to the viewers for being a part of this. You're the reason at the end of the day that we do this and why we come out and get to keep doing this year after year and show after show. Mm-hmm. And then as a whole, this has been kind of a mantra, I think everyone inside themselves has this crazy idea of something that they want to do. For some people, it's a profession. For some people, it's a hobby. For some people, it's a one-off. Mm-hmm. Do it. Put your heart into it. There's no dream that you can't make. This is the 5th year of a festival that started, beyond grassroots. This festival was like half-baked a month and a half before it actually had to come to fruition. And that first year was pulled off flawlessly, I would say, and has only gotten better and I hope easier to deal with year after year. So if you've got a few friends back in your house or your hometown, you guys have a dream to make something happen, do it, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't.
There you go. Inspiring words. Thank you, Trevor.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
Huge agreement. Just do it, right? Ryan, did you want to speak up on any thoughts that you had here before we go for our little rest period?
Yeah, I guess the main thing is that we came together. I came into the shop and I said, "How about this public space?" And Jared said, "Yes, there's a tea." And without supporting the artists, without bringing Trevor on board, without somebody to bring the imagination and then make it into a reality, we wouldn't be here 5 years. So, reach out to your artists. It's a resource that is beyond like comprehension as far as commerce goes. Like, those are the folks that are going to make your dreams happen, and that aren't going to laugh at you, and are going to work with you, and are going to come up with the most imaginative ideas that you can collaborate. So make sure that if you're going to do pen and paper, that you do find a Trevor. Like Trevor was on the ground, on the feet, helping us promote, and he has like helped create some of the not just like physical icons, but the vibe of the festival that allows us to feel kind of, I guess, fulfilled when we bring it to you. So do reach out to your artists and do support your artists, please.
Yeah, 1000%.
Thank you so much. And just a closing word, obviously, for Ryan and Jared and anyone else watching. If anyone's ever in Israel and wants a good cup of tea, come up to the Sea of Galilee, and I will serve you happily at my cafe.
Nice. How do we spell that, man? I'll throw it in the chat.
The cafe is called HaToren, H-A-T-O-R-E-N.
Okay, HaToren. Yeah.
People can connect with me directly also. I'm more than happy to bring people wherever they got to go.
And that's also your Instagram, right? HaToren?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Okay, yeah.
I've learned to be as well.
Sorry, what's that?
I've learned to be a part of the internet as well in the past few years.
It's interesting, hey? It's an interesting skill.
Well, I want to say this earlier, if the corona pandemic is a pandemic, but in the craziness of it, I wouldn't be co-inaugurating the 5th annual festival if it wasn't online this year.
Yeah, it's true. It pulls us apart, but it brings us together, right? Like, there's some pretty profound elements to this that I think we're all learning as a species, for certain. Really, really, really horrible hardships and some really amazing opportunities for introspection, for certain. And I also want to say thank you, man. Like, not only did you create the logo, not only did you step up and create all sorts of artwork for the inaugural in-person show 5 years ago, you also, like Ryan said, you went and you pounded the pavement. You were doing things that him and I could not do, like being at when we were doing weekly, daily sessions in different spaces. You were there as a representative for the ITAS, and you've just been keeping the power going strong. So huge appreciation to you, Trevor, and thank you for coming on the show. Awesome.
Pleasure.
Okay, and then to everybody else, we're going to be taking a short break. We will be coming back at 2 o'clock, where we will be joined by Sierra of Unity Gen. Really looking forward to hearing what they have to say.
Okay, well, we'll be back at 1 o'clock. We'll be back in like 10 minutes, not in an hour.
Did I say that? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think.
That's what I'm here from, the co-pilot.
Yeah, you're the co-pilot. You got to make sure. You got to keep me on.
I've got a piece of paper. We'll make sure that you get your people.
1 p.m. Did I say 2 p.m.? That's really great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Thinking that was an error.
And it's only the first hour. What am I gonna be like on hour 16? It's gonna be intense. I'll be talking about last year as if it's next year. Anyway, thanks, man. We'll I'm sure we will connect afterwards. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Pleasure. If you need something in the middle, give me a shout. I'll be waking up and you guys will be tired.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Okay, take care.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.